And you guys, I was really excited. So we were able to record our last board meeting. I don't know if you guys saw it. I sent it to Virginia, and hopefully she'll be able to get that up on our website. But that's kind of cool for all of us. Yeah. We can keep our board meetings, you know, recordings of all of them. It's going to be super like convenient for us to check minutes and if one of us can't be there and all those kinds of things. So as challenging as it is, it does offer us a bunch of opportunities.
Good, everybody's getting here.
Yeah. Okay. All right, where's my chat screen? What was I gonna do here? Oh, there we go. Chat, where'd you go? Okay. All right, I got my participant.
You want us all to sign in so that people who, Virginia can save her chat?
Sure.
For a minute?
Yeah, if everybody, as you come in, if you just wanna type your name into the chat so that our secretary can capture that, that would be awesome. If not, again, we're recording it, so we'll be able to go back through and look at who was in the recording, so that should be good. Although some of you don't have last names here, so it would be good if you typed your name up there. Thank you, Noah. Hi, Janet. Okay, so
it's just a good idea.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I can't ever figure out how to make mine go, so I'm gonna have to ask Noah or somebody. I can type it in, and I don't know how to make it go anywhere.
Oh, okay. I think you just hit enter on your computer.
Is it that easy?
Yes.
Oh my God.
You got it, girl. We are going to win.
Yes, we are.
Okay. So Lisa, you're here, aren't you, somewhere?
Hey, Beth.
Hey,
Oh,
Sarah.
Lisa, I'm going to unmute you. I'm going to give it a couple of more minutes, but I think, Lisa, I'm going to kind of talk about and introduce me, you, and obviously Tom. And then when our speaker arrives, you can, you know, do the introduction. And then, like you said, I put that there would be 45 minutes for that, but I don't think it's going to be quite that long.
You know who all is in the meeting?
Yeah, so right now,
Okay.
people are...
this is Melissa. I just wanted to...
Oh, hi, Melissa. You. Yeah, so if, Melissa, the only thing we were saying is if you could type your name into the chat, then that'll be easy for Secretary and Virginia to...
Now, where is that? Up in the right corner, left corner?
Yeah, so I think if it's probably on your screen, there's like a list of, like, you know, like you can wave and those types of things. Because my screen looks a little different because I'm sharing.
Melissa, it's down at the bottom on mine. It says chat way down low.
Oh, here it is. Yes, I see.
And Daisy is here. So
okay, good. Hi, Daisy. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. I will try to kind of multitask and let people in and that kind of stuff. So I'm going to turn us over to Lisa in a couple of minutes. My name is Jennifer Dolan, and I am one of the vice presidents for the League of Women Voters Santa Maria Valley. And we are having our very first annual meeting via Zoom. So very exciting. Tom, what is your actual title now? Can I unmute you?
Who are you speaking to?
I'm trying to talk to Tom and see if he can unmute himself and tell me his new name. Okay, there you are, Tom.
Yeah, I am a local league coach for your league.
Right. So basically, Tom's job is to help us keep on this, not on the straight and narrow. He's not here to bust us. But the League of Women Voters is very complex because it has multiple layers. It has from the grassroots all the way up to the national level. And it's really important that as league members, it's a great group because you can participate at whatever level you want to. And so it's really good that we have a coach or somebody that can kind of help us so that we are, doing what we're supposed to do, but also being effective in our community. So Tom, thank you for being here. I am going to also introduce our president, Lisa Thornhill, and I'm going to let her kind of introduce, what we're going to be doing today, and kind of go over the agenda with us. What else was I going to do? Oh, and let her introduce Daisy, who's going to be our speaker. All right, Lisa, take it away.
Thank you, Jen. Is everybody muted except for me? First question, Jen. Okay. So I do want to welcome everybody to our membership meeting. This is one of 3 meetings that we have throughout the year. And I got to tell you that these times are changing. When we first started planning our membership meeting for June, we had no idea that we would be doing it virtual rather than in person. So it has taken different planning and time and so forth, but I'm telling you, Jen led the way, and I think we have things pretty well squared off for our first virtual meeting. And at this meeting, we are marking 100 years for the women's right to vote. And I keep thinking that's great, but even back then it was just white women that could vote. So, progress has been made. Progress needs to continue. We also are marking 100 years for the League of Women Voters. We have been there at the beginning in 1920, and I am very proud of a lot of members who have led the way. And I'm just, it's really interesting that back then they were dealing with social injustice as we are today. They were dealing with the Spanish flu that took out thousands of lives. Here we are today. I would like to think we've learned from the past, but in some ways I don't think we have. But that means that we as League members need to continue with the work that's been very important over the years. We will need to continue the work that we've been doing, and today our agenda will walk us through, first of all, our business portion, where we take care of details around nominations, budget, all the basics that we need to do for our meeting. And then we will go into an update from the convention. And Sarah McDonald and I were the delegates to represent our San Maria Valley area, and we'll be hearing from Sarah and myself later about that. So that's an introduction to what we're doing today. Any questions on the format, or anybody having trouble with the Zoom meeting or anything? We're good? Okay. So now I'm going to introduce Daisy Bolsolto. She's a program coordinator for our local county food bank. During this time of our pandemic, so many things that have been connected to it, I would never have imagined, which are people losing jobs, people doing unemployment, the number of needs that people have, clear down to the basics of how are people even being able to support families and have enough food for their families and themselves. So I'm hoping Daisy gives us a look into our local area and what's going on, where the needs are, etc. So Jen, I'll let you unmute Daisy and we'll have her take it away.
Alrighty. Hi, everybody. My name is Daisy Basulto, and I'm the program coordinator for the Food Bank of Santa Barbara County. I'm based in Santa Maria here in North County, but the scope of our work is countywide. And our mission really is to just transform the health of Santa Barbara County residents. And we do that through disaster preparedness, community resiliency, and nutrition education. And just during our COVID response, we did a lot of disaster preparedness strategies and contingency plans in order to really be able to feed our community. And just with our COVID response, we've been able to distribute around close to 3 million pounds, I believe, of food just in our county. And in a year, we usually do around 9 to 10 million pounds. So our response has really increased double. And even in North County, we sometimes see it can even triple, just depending on what's going on. And when it was at its peak, that's what we were seeing. But even now, as things are opening up in our county, we're still seeing the need for all of our distributions, our senior deliveries that we do countywide. And so it doesn't seem to be slowing down for us. Sometimes it does. We're like, oh, it's slowing down. And all of a sudden it just keeps picking back up. And that is due to, more people losing jobs, businesses closing. And so the need is still there, and it's going to continue. And we've anticipate as much as we can to really be able to cater to the needs of our community. And so we're already planning our next phase of how to respond to the community at least up until September. That's where our plan is. We do have the National Guard at the food bank at both locations in Santa Barbara and Santa Maria warehouses, where they're able to really help with our capacity. Because that was one thing that we noticed when we first started our response in the community, was that we needed extra help. And without the Guard, I really don't know how we would have been able to really do what we're doing now. They're such a big help. And they've really become like our family at the food bank. As some of them phase out, they continue to come back and, say hi and visit, which is really great for us to see. And we've really also created a lot of great partnerships throughout this response with 211. Recently with VTC, PathPoint, Smooth, in order to do deliveries to seniors in Santa Maria and Lompoc and Guadalupe. So we've really just tried every angle that we can to really, serve our community in any way that we can. And so our partnership with 211 has stopped as of last month, the end of last month. But we have a call center opening, or it's open now here at the food bank. If seniors still need food assistance or food delivered to their homes, they're able to call that line and still be able to sign up for our senior deliveries. And just to give you all an idea of how many we've done, we have volunteers that pack our deliveries for our seniors. So their volunteers are packing around 6,000 grocery bags per week at our warehouses. We have a total of 8,000 home deliveries that we do countywide. And so we're really able to just serve a lot of people in our community, just because of volunteers, because of the partnerships that we have established, and because of the National Guard as well, that have really been able to step up in areas that we as staff needed. So that's really what we've been doing, and we're continuing to do. What we are seeing currently is volunteerism going down due to just the spread of the virus really increasing in our county. A lot of volunteers are scared of the virus. We hear more and more people being in contact with the virus, with someone that was in contact with it. They were at a facility where somebody tested positive. And so we have to be able to really respond to those as well. And just, a lot of it is waiting for test results, or just making sure that person does not walk through our warehouse, because we need to stay open in order to feed the community, because a lot of people rely on us. And even more now during this pandemic, people that have never used the food bank as a resource before are now really relying on us. And so we're trying our best to really keep an eye out on that. But so we've been struggling a little bit with volunteers, but that's why we've been trying to do more partnerships with different agencies, in order for them to step in. And it also helps them because they have hours for a job, they have money still to pay their employees, and so they're able to really still have a job, whereas before they didn't necessarily have that. And so that's what we're trying to do with different agencies, because we want to create jobs for people, because we need to keep running. And so that is what we've been experiencing so far, but we've still been able to manage and serve our community. That's really all I have for you, unless you all have questions for me.
And they do. They have tons of questions. So I'm gonna start out with a couple of the ones that we've gotten so far. First, for sure, we'd love to get the phone number and contact information. So if you have some type of a card or a picture that we can share around to our list, that would be great if you could get that to us.
Okay.
So you guys have, how many full-time and part-time employees does the food bank have right now?
Full-time employees at the food bank, I believe, is around 45 countywide. And part-time or interns that we've onboarded during this COVID response, I really do not even have an idea. A lot of these are interns or just part-time people working for us behind the scenes, and we don't always necessarily know who's there. Marketing has their own, and it just depends. But there's quite a few, at least 10 or more that we've onboarded, and it's going to continue to grow. We're actually working. We've been in contact with AmeriCorps, and they're looking to really help us get some people into the food bank once the National Guard phases out, because they will be phasing out mid-August, I believe. So at least for as far as we know, we won't be having the National Guard at the food bank begin and once the middle of August hits.
How long have they been helping you guys out?
They've been helping us since March, since like mid-March. So they've been there for quite a while. Not all of them. Some of them have been there for only a few weeks. Some of them have been there from the very beginning. It just depends on who's been able to stay in. Because some of them, they move them. Like, for example, when we first started in our Santa Barbara warehouse, the National Guardsmen that were there were from a medical unit. And once the cases started rising, I think it was in LA, they sent that unit over to LA to help respond to that. And so we had to get a replacement of different guardsmen. So those are the things that
And then you got to retrain them all and
yeah
back into the system and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So can you tell us how does your group, like, I know you guys are a nonprofit, but how do you guys get your funding? Like, how does it work exactly? Like, how much of it is donations and how much of it is some type of support you guys are planning on each year?
Most of our funding does come from donations. A portion of it also comes from grants from USDA, California Association of Food Banks is a big one. And so Feeding America, we're part of Feeding America. So we also get funding from Feeding America, but we also have to write grants for Feeding America in order to receive funding. And so we just wrote one, and I believe we'll be hearing back from Feeding America if we get money, because I believe that one was a big a funding donation for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, you were talking about the partnership with 211 is ending in June. Is that just because there's something else going on, or was your partnership partially monetary and they were helping you, or how was that working?
They so we that ended just because the call volume has gone down a lot. And so we're able to handle it now. And so
Okay.
that's just one thing that
That's
we're able
awesome.
to take off their hands.
Your 6,000 bags per week, when you were talking about that, is that the whole county, or is that just up here in the North County?
That's countywide.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Cool. Actually, this is a question that several people have asked. One, do people have to qualify in some way? And like, do they just show up for food, or how does that part work?
So we make it as easy as possible for anyone to go to a distribution. We don't ask for very much information. During this COVID response, all people are asked are their name, their zip code, and how many people are in their household. And that is it. There's no documentation. We never ask for documentation. And if people, like if there's a language barrier we're not necessarily able to understand, we still give them food. We work with it. But yeah, we make it as easy as possible. For our senior program, for our senior deliveries, there's more information that we need to collect. But with seniors, all they have to do is call us, give us their name, their address, and a few other demographic data that we have to collect for reporting purposes.
Okay, so, and this is this was a question that came up on the chat, but also I'm kind of interested just because I'm a teacher and I'm going to be going back to school and they've just sent us our parameters for this. But have you guys made a plan for if any of your volunteers or workers do get sick, like how your organization is going to handle those types of situations?
Yeah, we do have contingency plans in place. We have had volunteers who, who've told us that they've been in contact with someone, and so that's definitely one. So there's, that's one thing that we do with our volunteers. We definitely let them know that they should tell us if they've been at our warehouse, if they've been in contact with someone, in order for us to, take the right measures. We know, we have to look back on who was around that area, clean it, disinfect it. And so far we haven't had to shut down any operation days. So we've been lucky so far, but we do have plans in place. We are working with the Department of Public Health and the Office of Emergency Management. So they know what we're doing, and if there's been any exposure to our staff or National Guards or volunteers there.
Okay, did anybody have any questions that I haven't gotten to? Let me see here. Oh, the hours. So do you guys have different pickup points? So are there different places people pick them up, and are there hours that you can share with us?
Yeah, we have 50 locations countywide, and I believe 22 of them are drive-through. A lot of them are drive-through and walk-up. We update it monthly, so it has changed since the beginning, but we still have operations going. And you can find that on our website as
yeah.
well. And I can send all those links later too.
Oh, okay, let me, oh, sorry. Janet, I muted you on accident. Okay, let me unmute. Oh,
I'm unmuted. Okay. I want to know if you need volunteers to make deliveries in Lompoc.
Yes, we always need volunteers, especially in Lompoc. Lompoc solving area is one of the hardest areas for us to find volunteers. We've been struggling from the very beginning. So if you have contacts or you yourself want to volunteer, I will definitely pass along my contact info, and you all can sign up with me.
Yeah, I definitely want to volunteer to deliver. Yeah.
Thank you.
all right. And Janet knows all kinds of people there too. She'll drag them into it, right, Janet?
Probably not, but
No, I know. My poor relatives are like, Jennifer, if you get me involved in one more thing, I'm sorry. Okay, well, if anybody has any other questions, you can chime in.
I just want to thank Daisy so much.
Absolutely.
And I have used the food bank on-demand delivery, and I'm really pleased in the quality of the food, and
That's awesome.
so thank you, Daisy.
Thank you. Glad you love it.
I did have one good question from a student. Do you guys have anything that you need done like online locally? Like if we had people that maybe couldn't, go out in the community and work, are there things that people could do to support you from home?
We do have a few like part-time interns who do a lot of remote work. And that's how we're doing our call center at the moment as well. It's all remote. So there's definitely opportunities for that as well.
Okay. So again, I'll make sure that I link that your food bank website, and if, like I said, if you have a card or a little flyer or something that I can get out to everybody, if you send that to one of us, we'll get it out. So everybody appreciates it a lot that you were able to come today, Saturday, a Zoom meeting. But if there's anything else, anybody got a last question? We good? All right. Well, Daisy, you are, as always, you are welcome to stay here and watch us elect each other and verify our budget. But I am also allowing you to go take care of your family and your stuff too.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again.
Yeah. Thank you all for having me here today. If you have other questions that pop up into your head, please feel free to let me know. Jennifer, I'll probably send you an email with my contact information that you can share with everybody, and the different links and phone numbers for all of our services.
Perfect. Perfect. All right. Well, thank you again, and we appreciate it. We'll see you next time.
All right. No problem. Have a good weekend, everybody.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, cool. Oh my gosh, you guys, it's working. Okay, hold on. Share screen. Let me do it again. What am I doing here? I'm sharing. Okay, we are back here. Oh, Lisa, one little thing we forgot to do is appoint I think there needs to be 3 people to kind of verify our minutes. I don't mind being one of those people, Lisa, if you want me to be one of the minutes people.
Okay. So what Jen is talking about is we need 3 people just to go over this information to make sure it's accurate at the end of the meeting. Are there other volunteers? We need 2 more folks.
Basically, all you got to do is at the end of the meeting, like after Virginia does the minutes for us, we just check them over for her and give her a thumbs up. And that's that simple. So if you want to type your name into the group chat, if you are interested in doing that, again, it will only take a couple of minutes sometime after the meeting in the next couple of days. Okay, let me see here. Oh, let's see. Okay, so we are, I think, Lisa, at the business meeting section. So I am going to pull up, it looks like for each of these sections, we're going to be doing, at the end of that section, we'll vote. And if you guys are seeing, the list in front of you, we will actually kind of start voting on them kind of as we get through each slate. I'll let Lisa kind of read what's there to you, and then everybody can vote. I think it might be most effective if everybody, instead of doing it verbally, put it in the group chat, or do the thumbs up if you can figure out how to do that. So let me see if I can tell you where that's at. So at the bottom of your screen, do you see a place where it says reactions? Everybody sees that? So when we get to the end of each section, if you are okay with our slate of officers or the budget or whatever, once Lisa calls for the vote, then if everybody could just put their thumbs up, that would be perfect. And then I do have a couple of people to check the minutes, so we are good on that. Okay, so can somebody tell me what they see on the screen right now? Do you see my screen?
We see you.
See you.
All you see is me. Okay.
Now we see Lisa.
Oh, now she's talking because that's why we see her. Okay.
Now we see you.
Now you see me talking. Okay. Here's basic share. Okay. I lost all my people. Where's my pic? Oh, here we go. I lost my video panel. Okay. No, I want more people. There we go. Okay. So Miss Lisa, I am switching us to the first section of the business meeting, which is our nominated slate of officers. I will really quickly say that if there is anybody who is interested in volunteering to serve on the board, and we'd love you to come on board today, but even if you're not sure that you might want to be interested in some other leadership capacity in the league, we listed the role of the board in general and also the roles and responsibilities that are there. But we also, as we go through discussing different things that the league's been doing, you might hear something that really kind of sparks your interest and you want to be more involved with that, whether it's voter registration or advocating for one of the areas that the league has of interest right now, or whatever it is. Just kind of make a note to yourself what you think is interesting. And there are opportunities also. We need people to do smaller roles even than not just be on the board. We have something called the Observer Corps, where really all your job is to, if you are interested in a certain government entity, is you attend their board meetings and then just report back to us what's going on at those meetings so that we can kind of gather information from different parts of the community and let us know what's going on. So again, if you have any interest of getting a little bit involved with the league or whatever, if you just reach out to one of us as board members, we'd be happy to kind of point you in the right direction. Okay, Lisa, take it away.
Okay, so on page, it looks like page 3, we have,
I think we're on
page 2.
Yeah.
At the top, we have nominated slate of officers, and officers serve 2 years. So every other year, we will vote on 3 positions, and the alternate year, 2 positions. So not everybody rotates out the same time. So at this point in time, we are needing to fill the president, second vice president, which is a program oversight, and treasurer. We have nominated and spoken to these people, President Lisa Thornhill, second vice president Sarah McDonald, treasurer Beth Schneider. Is there anybody else interested in those positions? And then we do have, we do need to fill 2 people for next spring who will be the nominating committee. And that is where you will contact members and find nominations for first vice president and secretary, which will rotate out next year. So number 1, why don't we go ahead and fill the volunteer for nominating committee? Are there 2 people who can do that next spring? It's not a long time commitment. It's a focused assignment. And you actually get to know members better when you're looking at their skills and interests. So Jen, would they raise their hand or should they put in
If they type it in the, yeah, if they type it into the chat, I'll capture it there.
Okay.
Tom, where'd you go? Let me see.
So
We can, Lisa, they can kind of think about it and somebody can do it. And I have a couple people that are saying, yeah, I can do it if nobody else volunteers. So
oh, gotcha.
if anybody's interested, just put your name in the chat that says, yes, I can help with nominating. Again, it isn't a big, huge thing. And if you say yes now and you forget about it, we will come find you later. Don't worry.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and vote. How many, raise your hand if you agree with the slate of officers for 2020 through 2022.
Or you can use your real thumb too. It's all right. Let me see if I can see everybody. Yep, everybody's saying yeah.
All right, I see hands too. That's great.
Everybody's going yes as long as it's not me. I hear you guys. Okay.
That'll change.
All right. And then we also have, you can kind of see in the middle of the screen here, well, it says the officers continuing to serve, which are myself and Virginia, but we have directors, and these are kind of, you're not necessarily, you don't have to come to the board meetings every month, although of course, like everybody else, you're welcome. But if you think there are any things that you might be interested in, like getting into or helping out with, if you could just, if you're like right now, you're like, yeah, sign me up, that's fine. But if you also want to think about it, look over the different directorships and what they're responsible for, or ask one of us about it. We are also always looking for people to help us out. And being a director is a good way to just kind of get your feet wet and see if you want or enjoy being part of the leadership, obviously. So if you are interested right now, you can speak up or put it in the chat, or if you want to think about it, and as we proceed and we get started with our work for the year, let us know, contact one of us on the board, and we will get you information about what each of those things means, basically. So Lisa, since we passed that one, should we move on to budget?
Yes.
Okay. So Miss Beth, you ready to take it away? I can unmute you. No, I can't. Got it. Oh, she got it.
Okay, this is the budget for this year. We are actually in July, so that's the start of our fiscal year. It's kind of a guess because we don't know what's going to be happening, what we will be able to do live and what we will end up having to do virtually. This sort of is based on business as usual at some point, like for forums and so forth. Hopefully by the time we get to forums, there'll be an ability to do that live, but if not, then we'll amend the budget. The the membership dues are based on last year's dues, and we actually ended up having more people, and the reason that the fiscal year 2019-2020 projected looks different than the fiscal year 2020-21 budget is because some of the dues for this year were actually deposited in June of last year, so it doesn't reflect in the membership dues. So that's why there's a discrepancy. Let's see here. Does anybody have any questions? Regarding any of the categories or what it means, or how did we come up with that?
I think we're good. If somebody,
I think I've stunned everybody.
no, it's fine. We didn't send in this out to them. I'm sure everybody has went through it meticulously, and they just have they have no questions. Okay.
I have a question.
Oh yes, go ahead, Lisa.
Yes,
I just wanted to point out to everybody, we redid our website this year. It was updated and it now links to the state website. That did cost more money to do that.
yes.
However, the payoff is, and I hope everybody has had a chance or will take a minute to look at our new website. It's much easier to navigate, and it really does look good. So there was an increase in the amount we're paying, and there will be an increase in the amount each year. So that was one of the increases in what we're paying. Other than that, everything looks like it's going to be staying the same, depending on how all the COVID activities go. As Beth said, we'll see as we go. So.
Yeah.
All right, so am I doing this right, that we call for a motion to accept the budget as presented? Is that how we do that, Beth?
To adopt the budget.
To adopt the budget.
Yes.
Okay.
For the budget, you actually have to adopt it.
Okay. So is somebody raising their hand to be the person making the motion? Oh, Lisa?
I raised it earlier.
Oh, you
I don't
think,
think.
are you good?
I will second that.
Okay. And then, so should we take the vote now, Lise?
Yep.
Who was the first? Who made the motion for Virginia? Oh, Melissa did. And then the second was who? Sarah. Okay. So all in favor, hands, thumbs, or otherwise? All right. I'm looking. Sweet. All right. Okay. All right. So then the next section, actually, you guys, we do also need to get a budget committee for next year, which is kind of the same thing. Somebody helps our treasurer sign up. And then we also need somebody for an audit committee, which I don't think we've done for a couple of years. So we need to get back into that habit. So if anybody's interested in serving on one of those two committees, if you could, again, let us know, think about it. It's kind of the same as when we do the nominating committee, that it's just like a week or two commitment where you meet once or twice with somebody and go over this. And it's really just so that there's transparency and everybody's on the same page. So if you want to put your name in the chat, again, I will capture those here and contact people as we go. And then the next part, I am going to kind of dump this on Tom a little bit. We have we haven't done updates to our bylaws for a little while. We haven't like fixed things. And so one of the things that we needed to fix was because of the pandemic and what's going on, that we wanted to have something in the notes about how we were going to handle technology and being able to do what we want to do. And so I kind of borrowed this verbiage from one of the other leagues who has put this into their bylaws. So let me see here. The league at all level remains committed. I don't even remember where I put this. Oh, here it is. Article 7, Section 1A, virtual meetings. One or more members may participate in any meeting by teleconferencing, video conferencing, and similar electronic equipment. Good thing we're voting to make this okay since we're doing it. So long as all participants in the meeting can simultaneously hear and communicate with each other. This is acceptable for all meetings, including board meetings, membership, and annual meetings. Business and virtual meetings will be conducted in the same manner that meetings conducted in person are, including the same notice and quorum requirements. So that's the amendment that we wanted to put into. And then there's also a section on our articles of incorporation that needs to be updated that has to do with our status as a nonprofit. And so Tom, if you could just kind of walk us through that briefly about how we're doing that and why it says what it says.
Okay. Yes. Back about 1980, the state of California passed a law which, among other things, created two different categories for nonprofit corporations or organizations. One is a public benefit, the other is a mutual benefit. So a mutual benefit is something like the Chamber of Commerce or the American Dental Association or that sort of thing, an organization which is focused on helping its own members to their situation and so on. Whereas a public benefit is more like what we are, the league, which we exist to help the community. All of our efforts are made to help our community in various ways, so forth. When the law was first passed, the Secretary of State's office somewhat unilaterally decided who was which one without checking with organizations. So about 10% of the leagues in California, we have 62 leagues, about 10% of them, or no, I guess about 10 people, 10 of the leagues who were erroneously misclassified as a mutual benefit rather than public benefit. So we've been slowly but surely working, state league has been slowly but surely working to help local leagues get this corrected. And in order to correct it, you have to amend your articles of incorporation to add this particular language, which is reads rather very technically, but its impact is to get the Secretary of State to reclassify your league as a public benefit organization.
Perfect. Tom, do I need to have a different motion for each part? So should we do a motion for the bylaws and then a separate motion for the articles of incorporation?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So can I have somebody make a motion to accept the changes to the bylaws and a second?
I so move.
Who was that, Lisa?
Janet?
Oh, Janet moved, and a second is Karen Mays. All in favor of the bylaw amendment? I'm not moving my thing here. Okay, looks like I got everybody saying yes, yes, yes. Looks good. Okay, so that motion passes. I like it. And then can I have a motion also for the articles of incorporation to be added?
I make the motion to move that for the new article incorporation
Okay.
amendment be.
Sarah, and a second? I can't see everybody's face, but Karen's saying she's the second too. I like it. All right, and then all in favor? Oh, I forgot my thumbs up.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah,
We're moving right along.
We are. We're getting good at this. Okay. All right. So that's good. All right. So
Jennifer,
yes.
I have a question for Tom.
Yes.
How do we actually amend the articles of incorporation? Do we have to send a letter to the state, or how does that happen?
Yeah, you do what's called an article of amendment, and you have to fill that out with the language that you want, and then forward it to the Secretary of State. And I will draft all that up for you to references.
Great.
They'll have to pay $35 to get it certified.
Okay,
And then
okay,
do
thank
we
you.
have something to keep in our records so that like when the bank says, okay, we want to see what your status is and your tax status, and we've gone round and round before with banks on that.
Yeah, no, when you send in the articles to the Secretary of State, you will request what's called a certified copy. So they send it back to you stamped saying that it was properly registered in their system.
And then Tom, will we have like a tax ID number or something? Is that how it works?
You already have you already have an employer ID number.
Oh, okay. All right, sounds good. All right, so we are actually kind of running up to, we're doing pretty good here. We might be done early. I like it, you guys. Although this is kind of the part where it gets complex, and I'm gonna ask Lisa and Tom especially, if I start talking too much and confusing people, you'll have to stop me. So like Lisa said at the beginning, she and Sarah both attended the national convention just like this online. It was actually really cool because I was able to go on. I didn't do it in real time because I wasn't going to be voting anyway, but I got to look at all the videos and the caucuses and different things that they did, and it was really cool. And so again, if you're not aware or understand the hierarchy of the League of Women Voters, they really do have a very solid structure in that they have, we at the grassroots are really the core of the whole organization, and everything that the League adopts and decides on and puts out there, it has been vetted and researched and thought about by, members all across the country in individual places. And so that is the nice thing. And it's one of the things that I just got done reading, that the book that we talked about. Where did I put it? The Untold Story of Women of Color in the League of Women Voters. And one of the things that the League was able to do, so despite the fact that they weren't able to make very many inroads, as far as social justice goes in the South, the leagues that were interested in it were able to move ahead and continue looking at those policies. And so that's something that, especially with criminal justice, has been done over the last 4 or 5 years at different state level leagues. And so fortunately, this year when it became super, topical, the Criminal Justice Caucus was kind of ready to go at the national level. So they were able to actually make some decisions in a more immediate fashion, but only because different portions of the League have been studying this and talking about it and reading books and looking at statistics and gathering information for several years. And there have already been policies passed at the state level in, I don't even remember what they said. I think there are something like 30 something states that have a criminal justice or a juvenile justice, criminal justice thing about mass incarceration. And then there's another one, 21 of them have something about another portion of the justice system. So it's really cool that some of the work has already been done. So now, we can kind of share information that we've already gathered at the different levels that, have been doing that work, and share it with the rest of the states and the rest of the league. So I'm actually kind of really excited to hear from Lisa and Sarah, some of the other things that they saw and heard and are excited about. I also wanted to kind of point out to you guys, because obviously they're going to go over it as kind of a summary, but I also have the concurrence video from the Voter Representation Electoral Policy and Criminal Justice Caucus are both here. But if you also want to go and look at all the other things that happened at the convention, up closer to the top, I started sticking things everywhere, I'm sorry, but up closer to the top, I have a link, I think that says convention links. So if you go to these convention links, And I'm sorry, I misidentified Virginia Case as the outgoing president. She's actually the CEO of the League of Women Voters. And so both of the addresses from the CEO
and her, excuse me, Jennifer, her last name is spelled K-A.
Oh, okay, I'll fix it. I think I can actually do that right now.
Thank you, that's cool.
All right. And then, so anyway, if you guys want to watch those videos, like just to find out what's going on and where we're headed in this next year and where we've been, they are really very interesting, and they will help you understand kind of the organizational qualities. So I am going to, Lisa, is the best way for me to do this is just to open the Google Doc that you gave me so you can kind of go through it and help you focus your thoughts as you discuss, or is that the best way?
Well, first of all, are we going to be able to show Virginia Case's video today?
We can if you want to. I don't have any problem with that, and we have enough time because we've only spent an hour.
Sarah and I, when we talked, we'd like to see that video, and then Sarah's going to share shortly about what it was like being a first-time attendee at the convention.
Oh, I know, because Lisa, you got to go with your mom, huh?
I did. She was a 50-year member, and it was in Washington, D.C., I think 6 years ago. And yeah, it's amazing. That's some of the difference that Sarah and I talked about. All the business aspects of the convention went really well on the Zoom meeting. I did miss the networking, the dinners and the gatherings that we are able to have when we're face to face at the convention. So I feel we got all the work done that we needed to, and I just miss meeting people and being able to expand in that way. So
mini quiches from Jovi's Delights,
and yeah, and the food. So Sarah, you want to go ahead and share a little bit about what it was like being a first-time attendee at the convention?
Myself, here I am. Okay, it was a fun time, but you know, I can't believe all the structures. I mean, for many years I was a diocesan delegate to convention in my church. There are a lot of similarities, but being at home and not being able to look over at Lisa and say, well, what would our league think about it? Because I had to pick up the phone, text her, make a phone call, and it's like, okay, this is fun. And then try to think, well, we talked about this. This is something we've talked about in meetings, so I know kind of where we are, but I was impressed with the fact that they had it all laid out so well. I mean, the fact that we could vote just like we just did, and they were able to get the voting, and really the parliamentarian, my hat, so if I had a hat, my hat would be off to her. She was amazing, and just to be able to know that we had to go through credentialing every morning before we got there, and I thought that was good, because that, you know, you never know how many people can just get on a Zoom call, but it's just, I think one of the things that kind of told me is that we were all together for those days. We were all together, and we spent the time to be at home and to do the work of the league.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things is that we added the diversity, equity, and inclusion statement into our program, and that was key. And we need, and all the things that seemed topical that we voted for
Right.
have,
It's amazing because it's almost like it all came to a head. Do you know what I mean? Like there's been individual leagues at the grassroots working on these exact problems for 5 or 6 years. And so, yeah, so good thing people were thinking about it and were able to react in a timely manner. And of course, there are going to be states that may not, jump on board and move forward. But, in California, we have our policies that we're able to go out and advocate for. Now, I hate to be the Debbie Downer of the group, but we have to be, proactive and also contain ourselves because we have to be able to, have the capacity to do the stuff we want to do. And really, to me, our core is to get everybody registered to vote and offer them information and help them get themselves educated. Because we do have lots of groups that are advocating for different, issues that we are all kind of interested in. And so the thing about the league that I think is really great is that literally anyone who thinks anything about any of these topics is welcome to come here and talk to us about it so that we know what people think. So it's a place where you can talk to people who are on the very opposite side of a political debate. And if they are part of the league, by being part of the league, they are saying, I want to talk about this, even if it's going to be hard. And I want to look at facts and think, even if it's going to be hard. And if you and I might disagree with each other. And that's the only way that problems can be solved. So
I'm excited for the next impact on issues.
Yeah.
This is in a lot of ways our Bible, and then it gives you, when you're doing things for the Observer Corps, hint hint, this comes in handy.
Well, and also, and you guys, you can see the people who are in our group, you've seen them in other, groups. We're all in multiple groups within the community. And so it's a good place for us to come together and kind of bounce ideas off of each other. Whereas I get that your group is working on that, so we're going to work on this, or we have an interest in these two things together. Let's do something together. And so it just opens up a lot of possibilities and doors. And I didn't introduce, I have a couple of my students here today. I'm not going to put them on the spot, but I have a couple of, I don't want to call them kids. They're young adults that are going to be kind of helping us out, not just at our local league, but I actually talked to the state league president this past weekend, and she had some ideas about how younger people could get involved. So again, if any of you, Lisa and I have talked about this as well, if any of you have any young people that in your family or your life that you think might be interested in doing something a little, because again, every person can decide how much time they want to spend on this. Do you know what I mean? If you're just interested in one aspect of it, you can dive really deep into that aspect, or you can just say, you know what, I'm not really interested in finding out about politics, but I think everybody should be registered to vote. So I'll man a booth, or I'll forward this on my social media, or whatever it is. So, there's lots of ways that people can, of all ages and all different walks of life, can get involved and feel like they're part of something bigger, but also it allows you to be you and have your own ideas and learn new things without a lot of high anxiety. And again, it can be high anxiety because there is a lot. Like Sarah was talking about, it is a very complex structure. And it's funny that you said it was like your church organization, because I was literally thinking of that as my exact metaphor. And I was like, well, I don't want to bring that up as a metaphor that we're like a church, like we're some kind of cult, but it's the same idea that a group of people are working towards a variety of goals together. And so it can be a really powerful thing. I'm going to try to put the Virginia case video up. Is that okay, Lise?
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, I am so happy to.
Okay, so does everybody see it?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to try to make it full screen and then I'll let it go. I'm going to put the closed captioning. Okay.
So happy to be here with all of you today. When I was introduced as the new CEO nearly 2 years ago, I had the opportunity to meet many of you in person. And over the course of the past 2 years, I've had the honor of getting to know so many of you as I've traveled throughout the country and learned more about your work at the state and local level. And what I've learned is that you are the heart and soul of this organization. You're doing incredible work, whether it be registering and educating voters, advocating for policy, lobbying for just laws, or protecting voters through litigation, just to name a few things that you do. You are moving our organization and our country forward. Now, before I continue further, I do need to tell you something. This isn't the speech that I had originally planned on giving here today. In fact, just last night, I couldn't fall asleep thinking about you. And I couldn't stop thinking about us. So I decided to edit my remarks rather than tell you all the great things that we've accomplished together these past 2 years, because you've already heard this from Chris and our wonderful team. What I wanted to talk about was us, all of us, and how 2020 it's changed us. 2020 was supposed to be our year of celebration. We had grand plans and ideas, which, due to COVID-19, will be postponed or in some cases canceled. We did, however, get to celebrate with all of you through our National Day of Action, which was really more like a week, but it was action nonetheless. Where hundreds of leagues held events around the country to celebrate our 100th birthday. Last fall, we also launched a campaign that every league could participate in. A campaign that would connect our history to our present work, celebrate the strength and power of our members through stories of the organization, and show who we are becoming in the future. What we designed was a powerful social media campaign. What you just saw, she is me. A campaign that has made over 5.7 million impressions across social media and brought us thousands of new engagers and members. Then the world came to a screeching halt. It has affected all of us, our families, our friends, our communities, and our country. And many of us were juggling new challenges as full-time caregivers for small children and elderly parents. Others are facing true loneliness and isolation, but it has to be so because of our health and safety. And yet you're still finding time on top of everything else to give your energy to the league. I just want to acknowledge that your work, like registering voters, candidate debates, forums, lobbying, advocacy, and even important fundraising, it's all suffered, as has ours at the national office. Those first few weeks of lockdown, they were hard. And we all had struggled and tried to find ways to adapt to a new way of doing things. And we have. But it hasn't been easy. And we know this pandemic isn't over. So I just want to thank you. Thank you so much for everything that you are doing. It hasn't gone unnoticed. And I hope that you know that we are doing everything we can to support you, even as our own capacity to do some of the work has also diminished. But even as we are focused on the general election just 4 months away, we are also looking beyond 2020 and making plans for our full 2-year biennium. We've made great progress as an organization on the transformation roadmap, and in the next 2 years, we will build upon that work with a framework to advance our strategic focus. Now, this includes creating a more inclusive league community, building our organizational capacity at all levels, growing our advocacy and our activism, expanding voter access, ensuring people-powered fair maps, and continuing to advance our democracy through the campaign for making democracy work. Now, we've already laid the groundwork for much of this work, deepening our commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion, and coming to terms with our own organization's history to tell our story authentically and honestly, which has also earned us respect from those whose ancestors were left behind during the fight for the 19th. We didn't walk away from our story or trying to create a different narrative. We told the truth. And in the next 2 years, we're going to take this work even further. We're going to ensure we are doing our work in a way that is welcoming of all people, which is going to require a lot of effort. And the national office is committed to strengthening leagues at all levels, building operational capacity, improving data and technology, and investing in all of you so that we can best tell the collective story of the league for future leaders when they're celebrating our 200th anniversary and they reflect on 2020. When we started this transformation journey, we didn't know that we would find ourselves preparing for the most partisan and contentious election of most of our lifetimes. But we were made for this challenge. Everything that we have done until now, it was just a down payment on our ability to stand in this moment, ready to finish the fight. And we will. We must stand in our power. We must speak up for what is right and just. Now, I know this is not going to be easy. For some, you will have to stand firm as people accuse you of being partisan when you know you are just standing in decades of league positions. And this, honestly, it's been a big pain point for our organization, confronting what it means to be nonpartisan when our core mission and beliefs are under attack. And unfortunately, most often from one side. There are some who say we can't even mention party names or that we should just stick to educating voters on the positions of both parties. And when it comes to certain things, it's easy. That's how we empower voters, by educating them on the issues. But our mission is to empower voters and defend democracy. How are we defending democracy if we aren't standing up for it when it most matters? When democracy is attacked, we can't stay neutral. We must stand in our positions and advocate for what is right and just. We must stand in defense of the Constitution. I mean, after all, nonpartisan doesn't mean that we don't have positions or opinions. It doesn't mean that we can't call out bad behaviors of elected leaders or thank those who are our champions. And it doesn't mean we can't criticize bad policy. Being nonpartisan, it means that we are not beholden to any party or candidate. We don't endorse or support them, but we also don't attack them. We promote civil discourse, and we need to be respectful. But that doesn't mean that we can't disagree, as long as it is based on and rooted in our organization, positions, values, and beliefs. At least for me, that's what I believe it means to be nonpartisan. But here's what it comes down to. The matters we're working on shouldn't be partisan. For decades and decades, they weren't partisan. Over the years, the League's work has had its share of supporters and detractors from across all of the political spectrum. And it's only in recent years that the rollback of voting rights, the lies and the scare tactics, the so-called legislative solutions in search of a problem, that have the real world effect of restricting access to the ballot box, especially for poor people and Black, Indigenous communities. It's only in recent years that there's been a strictly partisan line drawn on these matters. Now, don't get me wrong, these tactics, they've existed for a long time. But now one side uses them for political advantage. Now, whether that's because they don't think they can win on their ideas, or they simply reject the idea of more people being able to vote, I can't tell you. But the League is doing what we've been doing for 100 years. So if one side is now pointing at us and saying our issues are partisan, it's because one side has walked away from decades of something that should always remain nonpartisan, making our democracy freer and more inclusive. Now, I will say, I know that there are some who are going to agree with me, and others simply won't. And that's okay. And that's why I'm looking forward to a healthy discussion about what being nonpartisan means in the upcoming biennium, because it's something we simply must define more clearly for our organization. Now, before I go, I also want to acknowledge that 2020, it's changed the way we talk about race in our country and in our organization. As the mother of 2 Black sons, I can't tell those of you who don't have Black children what it feels like to worry about your child being killed by police because of their skin color. My son was pulled over by police a few months ago. And he had guns drawn on him. And he was just picking up his girlfriend from work. But they decided that he looked suspicious. Now, I share this with you to say that I only have a glimpse into what it means to be Black in America because of my children. But I will never know what it's like to be in their skin. But I have a responsibility to ensure that I am doing everything in my power to fight for them and every other Black person and brown person in this country who has been dealing with the effects of institutional racism for 401 years. And in our organization, we've been on a journey to become more diverse, equitable, and inclusive. And that includes new ways of talking about racial injustice and anti-Blackness in America. And we will all need to find ways to dismantle systems of oppression that in some cases, many are just coming to realize exist. But I'm here because I believe we can do this. And I believe that you can do this. Our founders knew that true democracy derives from casting our votes and raising our voices. So we will walk into this moment in history on the right side of history with conviction and courage as a welcoming and inclusive league where all who want to sit at democracy's table feel welcome. I want to thank all of you for your confidence, your trust, and your support over the past 2 years. I want to thank the national staff for their tireless work and dedication to the League. I would also like to add that all of the staff are also League members, so many of them may be in your local leagues. But I especially want to thank the outgoing board who have set our organization on a path towards a future where I know we will continue to thrive and grow. I want to thank Chris Carson for her steadfast leadership and her ability to navigate the seas of change, even during the most ferocious of storms. And last, I want to welcome Dr. Deborah Turner and our incoming board as they steer us into the next century, and who I trust will do so with determination, bravery, and lots of gumption. I want to thank you all so much. I look forward to the rest of the convention, and I look forward to hearing from all of you in the upcoming biennium and working closely with you to make our league the most successful it has ever been. Thank you all so much.
Gotta unmute myself. The speech that she was referring to for Dr. Deborah Turner, the newly elected president, is right below this one. It's a little bit longer than Virginia Case's statement. So, you know, when you go to watch that, you might want to give yourself some more time. And then if you go back to page 1, she talked about the She Is Me campaign, and the She Is Me campaign is the very first video that is listed at the top of our agenda. So if anybody's interested in going back and checking those out, you have access to them. Okay. Lisa, I'm gonna let you start talking again, but I wanted to show everybody one more thing here. Where is it? I don't know what I did with it, but we have 2 things that have come up recently that people might be interested in. Let's see. I don't remember where I put it. Oh, I know where I put it. Oh, our calendars. There we go. Or maybe not. Well, sorry, you guys. I thought I was going to be able to show you what I was talking about. Oh, so let me just, on the resources page, you can look at this stuff as well. Again, I have all of the national convention links here. The current impact on issues is there. The really recent things that we had, racial justice and equity work that's been done here in our state recently, all of those handouts and links are here. And then I also up here under advocacy and action listed a bunch of the videos that I found super helpful in figuring out, like, you know, especially since we are such a small league and so we can't tackle every issue that's out there. If there is something that you find you're really passionate about, this tells you, you know, how we take action on our issues. So again, I'm hoping that I'm probably going to try to meet with especially the younger new members and you know, talk to them about the kind of work we're going to be getting ready, mostly because I need them for my technology information, but they're also good at remembering things that I can't remember. So again, if you are interested in being more involved, if you could send myself or Lisa or someone on the board an email. I'm hoping that after we have done our July meeting as a board and have our calendar kind of starting to get set up, that then we can, you know, talk to some of the rest of you about how, you know, what you want to do in the upcoming year and how you want to be a part of it. So just let us know. Lisa, I think there's some, are there questions we need to answer? Like, or are you just going to report?
No questions. I'm just going to go over the convention in brief, and I'd like people to remember our meeting in January, which was our segue into how we decided what the next 2 years of program are going to be. And the other piece to the convention is, while the speakers spoke and we had different parts of business and all, in between, they had videos from congressional leaders thanking everybody for the 100 years of work by the league. And that was really cool because we heard from clear across the US, and quite a few of them were amazing. The second point I wanted to make is I filled in for Jen and I bought stuff at the convention.
Woohoo! Nice.
Yay! I got us some Observer Core pins that are nice and big and bright. And Sarah and I have sashes getting ready for Virginia's event at the cruise at the end of August. So we're already going into the next 2 years, folks. And so the national convention happens every 2 years. And I got to tell you, nothing can stop the League of Women Voters, including the COVID virus. Although our 100th League anniversary and 100 years for the right for women to vote was to be held in Washington, D.C., it was presented via online as a virtual meeting. And they had over 1,300 delegates attend. So we were able to reach quite a number of folks. Caucuses, which are like educational and communication sessions, these were held on the days leading up to the convention. So starting on Monday and ending Wednesday, we had several topics which were presented with feedback from the attendees. And as Jen pointed out, you can see more of that online on your own time. On Thursday, we held a virtual lobby day. This was held to support the Voting Rights Advancement Act. There's also a link to that act. The act has come up in order to ensure everybody has the right to vote. And it will monitor whether or not areas are providing access to voting to everybody. And so on the virtual lobby day, we did emails, texts, and phone calls throughout the day to all the Senate offices. All League members and convention delegates were encouraged to participate. Scripts were provided to assist with the communication to the representatives. Phone numbers and email addresses were also made available. Between 3 and 4 p.m. Eastern Time, a tweet storm took place, which also had focused scripting made available. And that was really cool because it was a call to action that people could get involved with. The convention was formally opened by our League Women Voter US President, Chris Carson. She is related to our Tom Carson, who is online with us. Delegates were given virtual convention training, which was very helpful as it laid out the convention processes and how they're covered during a virtual meeting versus the face-to-face. During the evening, expanding the vote panel discussion took place. And we heard from Muriel Bowser, Washington, D.C. Mayor, Alejandra Castillo, YWCA USA CEO, Valerie Jarrett, part of When We All Vote, board chair, and the United States of Women co-chair, and Allison Riggs, the Southern Coalition of Social Justice, interim executive director and chief counsel for voting rights. Marion is currently dealing with her city and their challenges during the COVID virus and racial justice protests. Her remarks included the point that Washington, D.C. residents do not have the right to vote, citing issues that they continue to vote with today, the same excuses from the past, and create barriers to obtaining the vote. Excuses around citizens being Black or brown, citizens are too inept, they're too corrupt, or that it is financial issues that matter more than the rights of the people who live in Washington, D.C. What was really cool was that on June 26th, the vote was taken in the House, and it did pass to support Washington, D.C. as a state with the same voting rights as the other states. Allison Riggs spoke to litigation being used against us. This was really interesting, an area I wasn't that aware of. Working to draw out the debates, and they want us to think the fight isn't worth the work. We need to be democracy advocates. Leagues need to work against voter suppression. Also, gerrymandering, which allows politicians to choose their voters, needs to be worked against. Valerie Garrett shared her views on the voting picture in the US. She and Michelle Obama started When We All Vote Together. Noticed in the last election, too many non-voters, meaning people were registered, but they did not vote. Young voters and voters of color need to be a participant in our democracy. Questions to get them engaged included, what issues do you care about? Power of partnership include issues need to tug at heartstrings. Voting by mail is the safest method to vote. It is highly regulated. Work to open up more states to vote by ballot. Also run a voter confidence campaign. Show people how they can vote by mail and educate them on the processes of voting. That concluded the panel discussion. We had closing remarks by Chris Carson that evening. And then on Friday, the plenary started. And I found out that the program positions that we vote on, we discuss them one day and then vote on the next day. They're never done the same day. So on Friday, we started off with a wonderful short film called Honoring Our Native Land. And it highlighted our American native lands and the need to cultivate, preserve, and protect them. Then we had adoption of the rules of the program, and they are guided by Robert's Rules. And then the report from the nominating committee. The keynote speaker that evening was Nora O'Donnell, CBS News anchor, supports the women power to vote, and she spoke to the need for women to become more engaged in the election process, the importance of women running for office and accepting positions as leaders in their communities. Afterwards, we had the presentation and adoption of the proposed bylaw amendments. And after that, we had the presentation of the program that was recommended. Again, we had the motions and then discussion about the program and the adoption of concurrences. The program, if everybody remembers, in January, we were given questions that we answered, and we had discussion about what our league is interested in. This information funneled into the board, who then studied what all the leagues were interested in and came up with a recommended national program. On top of that, other leagues could make a proposition for a not recommended item by the board. So that's what culminated in the program that we decided on. On Saturday, we had the credentials report, and then we had the address from the CEO, Virginia Case. Then we had the report from Treasurer, and the PMP for the US is going to stay at $32 per member per year. It is not changing more or less. We did discuss where we are financially for the next 2 years, and there are several groups stepping up to provide support and grants to the league who are very interested in the work we're doing. So we are not going unnoticed. The budget was approved. After that, we talked about concurrences. Jen and I always laugh at this because we didn't know what a concurrence was, and it always seemed to baffle us. So the definition of a concurrence is agreement or consistency. And an example is a league may have already completed a study and made a proposal regarding a position or item that other leagues also agree upon. This would eliminate the need for other leagues to do the same work, since the outcome would be supported by other leagues. And during this time, the concurrences, which means there were leagues that have already done study and we agreed with what they came up with, included abolish the Electoral College, land transfer of federal lands. We agreed they need to be monitored with a process. There's some fear around the federal actions that could be taken around our federal lands if there weren't a process in place, and also support electoral systems. All three of the concurrences received yes from the delegates. And then for our program work, these were submitted by local leagues throughout the U.S. upon completion of their program planning meetings. Ours was in January. The 4 being submitted were examined by the board, who decided they were the most common requests and could be supported through action over the next 2 years. 1 is to retain all current positions that we already have. 2 is to continue with making democracy work, including voting rights, improving elections, campaign finance, money and politics, and redistricting. The 3rd one is to continue working on urgent issues, climate change, equal rights amendment, healthcare, gun safety, and immigration. And the 4th was the recommendation of the Electoral College concurrence, which we had voted on. All 4 of them passed, and this will be the program for our league, as well as all the others across the U.S. to work from this program platform. And Jen did an excellent job with our agenda, and she also came up with an event listing of what we have done over this past year. And if you look at all the items that we have participated, they fall right in line with the program that we've already initiated. So that after the Convention 2020 awards, the convention was concluded with the introduction of the new board of directors and nominating committee, remarks from our new president, Deborah Turner, who is from Iowa, and the invitation to the convention in 2022. And I respectfully submit this, Lisa Thornhill, President, League of Women Voters, San Maria Valley. So that was a short picture of what we did in the 3 days of the convention and the days leading up. Are there any questions about the information or something you need clarification?
I did want to offer a couple of things that are available to people. And again, I'm sorry I don't have this written down, so I'll just tell you. And you guys, I think, you know, whenever Virginia feels like she's got the minutes ready and we get together and look them over, I think we'll try to send out a copy of the minutes that the group has looked over, the 3 people that we said would do that. I'll resend this action and events. I will resend that because Virginia gave me Google document copies of the different letters that we signed on to. So I want to add that to this document so that when I send it to you, you have the links to everything. So if you notice on the actions and events, there is little blue links on each or on many of the little things that we've done. Basically what's there is either an example, or it's actually the article that was printed, or it might be like, for example, the Easy Voter Guide. I have the most recent one that's listed there so that you can go look at it if that's interesting to you. And I will go back and add those other letters to this before we resend it out. So, and I'll also make sure that we have in there, like who's on the nominating committee, so that we'll be sure that we get that stuff going next year at the right time. So the big things, the two big things that are kind of in the works here is the redistricting at the Santa Barbara County level is going on, or they are taking applications for it right now. So you guys, I'm sorry that I did this, but I added that link to our meeting packet today, and now I can't find it. So, oh, is that it? No, that's not it. Oh, here it is. I highlighted it so that I'd be able to find it. So it's at the very end of the document on page 9. How amazing. I put it at the end. All right, so the redistricting committee, they are looking for Santa Barbara County, and anybody can apply. So even if it's not somebody with our league or what have you, they need individual citizens who are interested in looking at information and helping redraw lines within the county. I actually applied to the state redistricting group. I didn't get picked, or at least I don't think I did. Maybe I did and I just don't know it. But the county is also going to be doing their like we have our county supervisors, we have to have just whatever. So that happens after the census comes out. So there's an application link here. And then also we always do something around the National Voter Registration Day, and there are usually 2. There's one in the fall and one in the spring. And that's kind of where at the high school level, I kind of, I don't bring a big, huge League of Women Voters thing in, but we do participate in National Voter Registration Day because there are students in the Santa Maria Joint Union High School District that actually lobbied to get a kind of a voter registration policy into the board policies. So our local school board has an actual policy on student voter registration, that they are supposed to have access to that on campus at least once a year through one of their classes. So if anybody's interested in attending, there's a webinar on July 16th. Again, it's for all national voter registration things. So if you're interested in whatever you can do from home, that kind of thing, that might be a good webinar to go to. And I think it's on July 16th, maybe in the afternoon, about 2 or 3. So both of those are up there. I also wanted to, because I don't know if everybody's seen them, we have on our Vote 411 and the information that they keep in these.
When you vote,
that's not the right thing.
Something powerful happens to your.
Well, basically, I just wanted you guys to be prepared. The league does come out with a lot of voting information. But for the next couple of months, there are going to be people within the league who are gathering the information for us to look at and read. So you can expect that you will have access to a document called Pros and Cons that will list all the state propositions and kind of an analysis of both sides. And then the easy voter is the one that we usually order copies of to distribute, but it's probably going to be, the way things are going, it might be that the distribution is a lot more electronic this year, so we should kind of stay ready to do it either way. Lisa, can you think of anything else we need, or is there anybody that, yeah.
Yeah, just wanted to let everybody know, if you have feedback about the upcoming year and activities and so forth, please let us know. The board is we're having our planning meeting in July, I believe, like around the 20th.
I want to say it's the 22nd.
Yeah. And and anybody's welcome to come if they would like to, or please submit ideas or activities you would like to see done. And then we're going to take what the convention, what was decided and what our league is interested in, and do a whole planning for the next year, which is what we've been doing, and it's been working well. So please be aware that that's our next meeting, and everybody's invited.
All right.
That's all I have.
So Tom, did you want to wrap us up, Tom, or say anything else that we missed?
You guys have been doing a great job. I'm very impressed with your planning and all those events that you list on your sheet. I'll convey good wishes to you all from my dear wife, who is
Yeah.
national president. So if you're watching some of the speeches, her speech is right at the beginning, but she had a grand time for 4 years as president, but she's not stopping now. She's getting back involved in local California. So
Well, and that's lucky for us.
Yes.
And she's the local league coach for Santa Barbara League.
Awesome.
And I'm also locally coach for the Ventura League. So we get around and do things. You guys are really doing a great job. I congratulate you on that.
Thank
Keep up the
you.
good work.
We're hanging in there. Right, ladies and gentlemen?
That's right.
Lisa,
Okay.
I just had a question about the Electoral College and the position on it. Is the United States League actively doing anything about it?
Lisa, can I say something about that?
Sure.
I don't know if you've seen it, but I have the document that the League of Women Voters put out in 1969 about abolishing the Electoral College.
69. Wow.
So that was actually the year I was born.
Wow.
So, okay, speaking of topical.
No, but that's very true with many things the league's working on. I mean, we're all still working on redistricting reform, and that's something Chris has been involved in for, I don't know, the last 15 years. But the league's been working on redistricting across the country for the last 50 years. So
absolutely. When our 50-year members got their 50-year pins, I bought them all T-shirts that said, "I can't believe I'm still protesting this crap." So anyway.
Jan, and in answer to Karen's question, the concurrence does show local leagues are doing some individual work. U.S. overall supports the work that's being done, but there is no formal action plan right now because we're still concentrating on making democracy work. But that what I can tell, I'm pretty sure it's going to come up on the horizon pretty quickly. So more to come on that.
Right. I think their basic message was, it doesn't matter for the next 4 months, and then we'll see how it goes. I mean, not that it doesn't matter, but we have more pressing issues right this moment. That's where we're at.
I would like to make a comment regarding our effort to be more inclusive and diverse. And just for us as white people to really understand why we are where we are, the movie 17th is absolutely, excuse me, I don't know why I get that. 13th is the name of the movie, 13th.
Oh, about the 13th Amendment.
The 13th Amendment and the fact that Black people are still slaves as long as they're incarcerated. And it says that in the amendment. And the history of our country is just incredible. And I think to be really good advocates for inclusion and diversion, we need to know our history. And so I absolutely think everybody should watch the movie 13th. And you can get it on Netflix.
Sounds great.
Thank you.
And another movie that I'm in a group that is now studying anti-racism and white privilege and all of that. And we're trying to, improve everything that way. Another movie that would be really important would be When They See Us, which is about how those 5 innocent Black kids were arrested and charged and put in prison for the rape of the woman in Central Park. And they didn't do it.
Just so many.
And the woman the prosecutor is still working as the prosecutor. She maybe have, just because this movie came out and there's uproar, 2 people who were responsible, 2 women who were responsible for that happening to those boys have just now been asked not to be lecturers at prestigious universities, et cetera, et cetera. So it's just really important, I think, for us, if we really want to move forward with this work, to understand where we're coming from.
Well, and again, that is an important piece of work to do, because and you guys, most of you know this, I've helped raise 4 Black children to high school and adulthood. And so, you know, being in California and being in a small town, a small area, we've worked a lot to try to help them understand, like, we can't tell you everything you need to know about being Black. Your mom and I, we don't know everything. And so, you know, I was laughing because 2 of them were in my class, and I talked to them about videos that I showed them. They're like, I don't remember that. I don't remember that. And I'm like, okay, now then we're going to sit down and watch them after Sunday night dinner for the next 4 weeks. So they've been thrilled. We've been having school night on Sunday nights and watching the great debaters and other things like that. But it really is. So, you know, as white people, we need to educate ourselves, but we need to also make sure that the younger people, all of them, no matter what they are, that they know what their context is. Because, you know, I mean, so 3 of the kids that I helped raise are mixed race, and 1 of them is actually from Africa. So, you know, they have totally different Black experiences in this country. And it's a totally different experience being in California in Orchid than it is, you know, one of them went and lived with his auntie in Atlanta for the last 6 months and came home in January, or right before we went into lockdown. And it was a huge, I mean, he had never experienced anything like that. I mean, most of his family that we, you know, spend time with are white. And so, I mean, he had to come to terms with and figure out, like, wow, I don't even know about myself, you know? And so it's very complicated. And so, you know, anybody who says that they totally get it, probably don't. No, you know, so it's just, you know, I try to, and this is what I tell the kids to do. I'm like, and I sat the boys down, especially because when all the stuff was going on with the protests and what have you, I didn't want them to feel one way or the other. I didn't want them to feel like I expected them. I mean, come on. You know, but we went to a Lompoc Black Lives Matter thing, and one of them said, I said, can you go write on the back of my car, Black Lives Matter? And he was like, do I have to? Don't all the bumper stickers on the back imply that you think that? And I said, honey, come on. But again, they made the decision that they wanted to go to the protest instead of me saying, all right, you 3, let's go. You know, I'm having trouble myself drawing my own boundaries because of the relationships that I have. You know what I mean? It's not, again, they're my children, but it's not up to me as a white woman to tell them how to feel about what's going on right now, even though I know more factually and historically than they do. And so again, it's super, super complicated. And that's the part that we can't forget. You know, I know somebody had read the letter that Luanda wrote for the Santa Maria Times, and somebody said, well, you know, it sounds like they don't like the League of Women Voters. And I said, that's not true. The letter wasn't about the League of Women Voters. It was about suffrage for Black people. And so the fact that we were mentioned, it's not for me to have hurt feelings that 90 years ago in the League, somebody did something that I don't agree with. You know, we have to, so it's not for me to run out there and go, oh, but the League has a lot of nice white people. Do you know what I mean? And so again, it's that process of backing yourself back out of, like, when somebody says something, they're not talking about me. And the difference is, and this is what I tried to explain to the kids, the difference is that my kids can learn the history and our perspective, but I can't learn every minute of their lives from the time that they were born. You know what I mean? And so, again, hopefully, as we move forward, this is going to be something that we can all continue to, you know, especially people like us. I mean, if people in our area cannot like come to terms with and figure out how to do this, how are we going to do it in big, huge cities in the South? And so, you know, all we can do is kind of, again, and that's why I love the League so much, is because it's got that macro and micro kind of viewpoint, and that at every level, it is the core, the bottom, that builds everything up to the top. You know, that's what the difference is between a democracy and a, you know, monarchy, is that it comes from the bottom rather than the top, the decisions or the ideas. And so we're just not as strong if half of the people's ideas aren't allowed. It's that simple. So sorry, my students that are still here, they're used to me ranting anyway, so they've heard it all before. Okay, so does anybody have anything else that we want to talk about? Or we did really good, you guys. It is 2:55.
Yay!
Very impressed.
Great job.
All right, so thank you, and I want to thank Tom and Lisa. Would you mind doing the, or maybe Sarah, could somebody write a nice thank you note to Daisy?
Sure.
Okay, thanks, Sarah. All right.
All right, everybody, have a wonderful day.
All right, so expect
We'll be hearing from you.
Yeah, we'll do some type of a recap in a week or so before we have our board meeting, so you guys can decide if you want to come to the board meeting. Does that sound good, Lisa?
Good, yeah.
All right.
Thank
All right,
you.
guys, we'll see you later. Bye. Wave at-
Bye.
Good job.
Woo!
Good job.
All right, thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Okay, pause share. Stop share. Stop the, how do I do this?